Have you ever just sat back and wondered what it would be like to do it all again? The things that you would do differently. Now, I typically don't fall into this mindset. I honestly believe that everything happens for a reason, and I wouldn't say that I regret anything in my blog or my business, even though I have made a ton of mistakes. I know that everything has happened for a reason. I had to make those mistakes to get to where I am today. But I saw a few YouTubers share YouTube videos talking about if they were to start their channel all over again, what they would do differently when starting their YouTube channel. And I just thought that that was so fascinating. And I was like, you know what? If I was to start my blog all over again, there are definitely some things that I would do differently. So if you are looking to start a blog, I am going to share with you what I would do to start a successful blog and some tips on how to make your beginner blog successful. When I decided that I was going to launch a blog, the first place I went was Pinterest, and I feel like that's where a lot of bloggers go. But when you go on Pinterest and you search how to start a blog, you're going to end up finding a lot of blog posts talking about how you can start a blog in less than 10 minutes, or how you can start a blog for only $4, or maybe even for free. And of course, you're going to see so many blog posts talking about how you can make a profitable blog, like the first month blogging, how you can make a successful money-making blog. Here's the truth about most of those blog posts. When you see the ones that say how to start a blog for free, they're recommending that you use Wix or some other free platform, and I would never, ever recommend that you guys get started on those platforms, because it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to transfer to a better platform when you are ready to really start growing your blog. So if you are serious about blogging, you need to invest in it at the very beginning. And when you see those blog posts talking about how you can start a blog for like $4, they're typically talking about Bluehost, because they often have deals going on where you can start a blog for $4 a month if you pay for like 36 months. So you are paying for so much, and you are spending so much more than those $4 than they originally tell you. So if you are serious about starting your blog, here are the platforms that I would recommend to you guys. The first thing you need to figure out is what website platform you need to use. And by that, I mean kind of the builder of your platform. I personally use WordPress.org. And yes, there is a difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. WordPress.org is a self-hosted version of WordPress where you go to a different hosting server, okay? And we'll talk about that in a bit. But with WordPress.com, it is the website developer as well as the hosting server. And I wouldn't recommend that to you guys because you don't have nearly as many features as WordPress.org. And if you're looking to grow and you want to start a serious blog, you definitely want to just get on WordPress.org from the very beginning. Now, once you have that figured out, you need to decide who is going to be your hosting server or your hosting platform, or who's going to host your domain, your website, whatever. You understand what I'm talking about here. And you've probably heard of Bluehost a million times. I'm sure you've heard of Bluehost because I feel like everyone is an affiliate of Bluehost, and honestly, I'm an affiliate of Bluehost as well. That is where I started my website. Actually, full story, guys, I accidentally bought a WordPress.com site. After 90 days, I had to transfer it to get a WordPress.org site. But Bluehost was actually the first place where I had my domain hosted. Now, I'm going to keep it real with you guys and tell you that I am now using GoDaddy, and I would highly recommend GoDaddy as your hosting server for your website. But before you even choose which platform you're going to use, because you can buy your domain through Bluehost, you can buy it through GoDaddy, you can honestly buy your domain almost anywhere online. Just Google how to buy a domain. It is so easy. But if you are starting your website, I would recommend just doing it on your hosting server or your hosting platform already. It's just going to make your life a little bit easier, and sometimes they include the domain for free if you are signing up for their hosting services. But you need to figure out what your domain is going to be. And if you do not know what your domain is, it is your URL. So, you know, the address, the www that people would type in to find you, it is that. And you want to make sure that you think of something that you are going to be proud of years down the line. I knew SEO going into my blog. I was working in the digital marketing industry, and I knew that I wanted to have one of my main pieces, like one of the things that I specialized in, I wanted to have it in my URL, in my title, and that was content. The beginning, I started my blog, I really wanted to focus on helping others create better content, SEO-friendly content on their blogs, writing amazing blog posts. That was really my goal. So I was like, if I have content in the name of my blog, it's going to help me perform better on Google. So I ended up coming with the content bug, and there's a little bit more of a story there, but the content bug is honestly not something that I think I'm going to be proud of years down the line. Honestly, even now, when people ask me what my business is called and I say the content bug, I cringe a little because I'm like, why did I not come up with a better name? Honestly, if I could go back, I would just choose my own name as my website domain. So before you purchase a domain that you are going to regret, make sure that you think it through. And as a pro tip, Google it ahead of time. When you Google the content bug on the internet typically means a problem, an error. So there are a lot of things where people are searching for bugs on the internet, and It's not like, if I could change one thing, I would definitely go back. I would Google my name ahead of time and possibly change it to something better. If you're anything like me, you probably don't want to invest too much money in your blog before you know where it's going, because when you buy your first domain, it costs a couple $100, and it might be a little bit of shell shock, especially if you've seen those Pinterest blog posts talking about how you can start a website for $4. It's just not the reality of it. So after spending that much money just getting your website, you probably don't want to spend more money. But one thing I would definitely do, if I could go back again, I would hire a website designer. And I know that it's probably crazy, but I ended up spending 3 months trying to figure out how to design my website, and I made a ton of mistakes. So many mistakes. I built up my CSS to the point where my website was taking over 10 seconds to load. 10 seconds. So I just, I've also crashed my website twice, so that's probably another factor that goes into hiring a website designer. I'm not a website developer, and there's a few little tweaks that you'll probably want to make within like the widgets and your footer and your sidebar and the customized section. There's going to be some things that you're going to want to change, and if you have the money to, I would definitely say invest in a website designer from the very beginning. It's going to save you time, and it's going to save you problems that could eventually come up in the future. But once all of the logistics is out of the way, you have the websites designed, whatever, it's time to really actually create your blog and figure out what your branding is, what your mission is, what you're going to use that blog for, what you're honestly going to talk about on your blog, because just starting a website, that's great. Like, it's a great first step. But if you do not have a mission statement, if you do not have a why that is driving you forward, you're going to get a little lost, especially in the next few months. You're gonna have a 3-month mark and you're gonna be like, what the heck am I doing? What content am I supposed to create? I have absolutely no idea. For me, my why is, well, of course I wanna help you guys follow your passion and grow your audience online, but it's really about you guys accepting yourself and creating a life that you love. And that is the underlying message to every single piece of content I create, and that's just the driving force that keeps me going, especially on my toughest days. But really, when you think about the success of your blog, it all comes down to the content that you create. And if you are not creating amazing content that people want to see, your blog isn't going to be successful. So from the very beginning, you need to make sure that you've got your content calendar all laid out for you. When you launch your blog, have at least 5 blog posts, maybe 10 blog posts on your blog so that you can start promoting them. And that way people aren't landing on your website and there's nothing there, they have nothing to do, and then they're just gonna forget about you. So when you go through your whole launch, you wanna make sure that there's something there for them to look at. But I swear by my content calendar, I honestly do. I break it out typically in quarters, and it holds me accountable, and it makes sure that I am consistent with creating my content. Now, all that information is great, but you clicked on this video because you want to learn how to start a successful blog. So I've got some extra tips that I want to share with you that's going to help to make you a success as a beginner. The first thing you need to do is figure out your voice and what makes you unique. It is absolutely no surprise that there are so many bloggers, YouTubers, influencers, content creators, just people online trying to be heard. So how the heck do you stand out in that big sea of people? You got to make sure that you have a unique voice and that you're sharing something different that other people aren't sharing. It can be so hard getting started. You want to grow. You want people to see your content. So of course you're going to follow trends, or you're going to look at what is successful for other people, what blog posts have really hit it off for them. You're going to do that, and that's fine, but you need to make sure that you are being unique in some sense. And whether that is your voice, letting your personality shine through your blog posts, your videos, if you are really good at sharing your personality or your sense of humor, do that. Don't sound like a robot. Don't try to make everything pretty and perfect and paint a picture of yourself that just isn't true. Share yourself, and that's really going to help you stand out. But if you have no idea how to let your personality shine through, the best thing you can do is create content that no one else is sharing. Number 2 is to determine your target audience. And I know that this is kind of boring, but when you write your blog posts, you want to think of the one person that you are writing to. So when I write my blog posts, honestly, I would write to a younger version of myself. I would write to that girl. And I think it is so important to have your target audience already laid out, because it helps to keep you focused in the content that you are creating, and it makes a bit more of a personal connection with that one person that you are trying to reach. And if you can make an extreme connection with that one person, you're going to end up making an extreme connection with so many other people, and that's really going to help you grow. I talked about this a little bit already, but tip number 3 would be to create content consistently. If that is weekly, create it weekly. If you want to share blog posts twice a week, share blog posts twice a week. But one thing that is extremely important with your consistency is to make sure that it is something that you can keep up for a long time. So if you create a content calendar and you plan on sharing 5 blog posts a week, just know that you may get to a point where you are burnt out. So when you create a schedule, make sure that it is something that you can actually hold yourself to, something that you can stick to for the long haul. I'm talking years down the line. And then the very last thing, I'm gonna say this time and time again until I can drill it into your beautiful little head, and that is to never, ever, ever, ever give up. I have seen so many bloggers start their blog and give up within months. It breaks my heart. It honestly breaks my heart because they started a blog for a reason. They thought it was gonna be maybe a passion project of theirs or something that they could do full time or whatever their reason was for starting it. They clearly started it for a reason, and after a couple of months or maybe even a year, they gave up because they weren't achieving the things that they wanted to achieve. And that just, it saddens me. Never give up on yourself, because honestly,